Henry Smith.
Madam Deputy Speaker, thank you very much indeed for the opportunity to briefly participate in this important second reading in the Animal Welfare Kept Animals Bill. And it's a great pleasure, as always, to follow my honourable friend, the member for South West Bedfordshire. It's been really heartening this evening to hear across the House, the political divide, and across the United Kingdom, people supporting the provisions of this bill. Yes, there have been some nuanced differences in terms of some of the provisions that are being proposed by the government, but the unifying aim of this House has been to significantly advance and improve animal welfare standards. And I hope that as we go through the committee stage, report stage, and listen to the Minister in her responses from the front bench in a few moments' time, that those differences can be worked out. So, for example, when it comes to zoos, the fact that research and conservation really does need to be at the heart of what they do best, and we've heard some wonderful examples this evening of zoos around the country that contribute worldwide to that effort. When it comes to the keeping of primates, the desire, whether some views around the House that there should be a complete ban, or others that, as the bill suggests, it should be by a licensing system, will significantly improve the well-being of these highly intelligent and complex animals. I'm particularly pleased that when it comes to livestock worrying, that this is being addressed, although I do have some sympathies that I think the fines and the action to really make that be an effective piece of legislation perhaps could be improved and sharpened up further still. It's something that, as a member, Vice Chairman indeed, of the All-Party Parliamentary Group on Animal Welfare, we have been looking at for some time, and I'm pleased to see it very much central to this bill. When it comes to the importation of puppies and some of the practices of docking of tails and clipping of ears, it is great that this bill addresses those, although again, perhaps in terms of the committee stage, we could look at looking at the number of puppies that are able to be brought in privately to this country, perhaps reducing that number to a more realistic number as well. But principally, what I wanted to welcome in this bill was the ban on live animal exports for slaughter and for fattening. This is something that my late mum was a great campaigner on many, many years ago. And it is so heartening that now we have left the European Union, we are able to introduce this ban. But again, I reflect some of the comments of honourable and right honourable members across the House that there is a potential loophole in terms of exporting animals through Northern Ireland and then onto the continent, and I think it's important that we look to address that. Reducing journeys of animals is also good for our environment and the carbon footprint, and we've heard of other economic benefits of that as well. And one thing that the ban on the live export of animals doesn't cover is when it comes to poultry, and I would be grateful if the government will look at that. And I mentioned poultry very deliberately, Madam Deputy Speaker, because on the 22nd of September I had a 10-minute rule bill, the Caging Hens Prohibition Bill, known as Beatrice's Bill, after a rescued hen. And this is really where it is very poignant for me, because our late, dearly loved colleague from South West, Sir David Amess, was a co-sponsor of that bill. He sat about here on the benches as I was presenting that bill to this House in support. And his last comments in this House, on the record, in Hansard, were very typically of his character, kindly supportive of the measures in that bill to end so-called enriched cages. Battery farming for hens was banned in this country in 2012, but enriched cages aren't much bigger, and they do present many animal welfare concerns. The hens aren't able to display their natural behaviour, and millions of hens still live in those conditions, despite many of our main retailers and wholesalers and other suppliers moving to a commitment to 100% free-range eggs. And therefore, I find it very poignant to mention the importance of those provisions, something that Sir David, our dear friend, cared about so much more, as he did so many other subjects that we've heard about in the last week. Last Monday, I didn't have an opportunity to pay my respects and tributes to him, and I'm grateful for the opportunity now. I'm glad that this has been a debate pretty much of consensus. Erskine May, our rule book that sits on the table, says that it is out of order to make farmyard noises in this House. Madam Deputy Speaker, I'm glad that we haven't had to resort to that this evening.